Put this about reward. That's because it's a long drive from north to back to my lake house.
He had 22 minutes.
All right, go ahead.
Go for it.
Good afternoon. My name is Greg Gorick. I'm a captain with the Polk County Sheriff's Office, and I have the pleasure of being the commander over the agency's K-9 unit. The reason we're here today is that we are going to graduate 5 of our bloodhounds from our tracking school, but prior to doing the actual graduation, I'd like to give you a brief history about canines and law enforcement. The earliest reported documentation of any type of canine being used for any type of crime solving dates back to 300 BC. This was in ancient Egypt, where the king's dog was able to lead his guards to the assailants that had murdered him. In the 1400s, canines were used for curfew enforcement in France. 1895, Belgium, France, and Germany started to actually train canines for law enforcement use with their police forces. In 1907 was the first use of an American canine in the police force. And in 1957 is where you actually saw a wide expansion of canines into law enforcement service. Now, the reason we're here today is for bloodhounds. Now, bloodhounds date back to the 7th century, where they were originally known as sleuth hounds. And that is because they would be used to find prey and then eventually also men as they were tracking them. Later in the 1300s, they were more expanded into locating people, and for the last several hundred years, they've been used in law enforcement to help man track both escaped prisoners as well as children, civilians, elderly, and the disabled. Okay. Earlier this year, the sheriff had a vision that he wanted to expand the use of bloodhounds in law enforcement here at the Polk County Sheriff's Office, and we decided that we were going to increase the number of bloodhounds. No pressure. He gave us a due date of September 1st. Luckily, we're here. Okay. So after he set his vision, and we decided that if we increased our use or our numbers by 5 bloodhounds to give us a total of 6, that we'd be able to have adequate coverage, almost 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week coverage, so that we had a bloodhound. Now, primary to that, they were on an on-call status or a support function where they would basically be called out to a scene to aid. The sheriff recognized that every second matters when you're trying to find someone that's been hurt or injured, so we wanted to make sure that we had those resources readily available. Once that edict was in place, we had to set out to find out how to find the adequate dogs, identify trainer or handlers that could work with those dogs, and then finally figure out how to pay for it, obviously. After doing some research, one name kept coming up as we were doing our research, and that was Linda Bowles from Citrus County. We made contact with Ms. Bowles and learned about her program, Find 'em Friends, and we were granted permission to come by and meet with her and her organization. It was kind of a 2-step interview process. While we were interviewing her, she was interviewing us to make sure that we were going to fulfill her edict and for her agency or her organization, which was to make sure the dogs were going to be used to find people. I know that she has a history. I believe her father had dementia, and that this is very near and dear to her heart. She understands how valuable bloodhounds are as a tool, and that she wants to see that is carried on and paid forward from her organization to ours. So after meeting with her, she agreed that she would provide 4 bloodhounds to our agency. Prior to meeting with her, we've been blessed by Hardy County Sheriff's Office that they had a bloodhound that didn't have a handler for, and they donated that dog to us, so that was one of the 5 that we needed. She provided the other 4, and to our benefit as well as to the citizens of Polk County at 0 cost. Okay. Now, each dog is about $10,000 each, so that's a cost savings of $40,000 that she was able to save the taxpayers of Polk County, not to mention in years to come the countless lives that hopefully those dogs are going to be able to save by finding individuals. On top of that, she even threw in, she's like, hey, listen, I want to put on a school. I'm going to give you a 1-week tracking school at my facility, free of charge. Come up and I'm going to train you, use her expertise. Now, I had the pleasure of speaking with the sheriff of Citrus County on Friday, and he had nothing but rave reviews about Linda and how great she's been for his organization and how proud he is of her, and I've seen that. I mean, being able to talk to my handlers that went to the school, my conversations with her, she has just been a great person. You can tell this is a passion and this is a love for her, and you know, we really appreciate the fact that she used her time, her resources. You know, she didn't have to donate these dogs to us, but she did, because I think she sees the value in what we're going to do with them, and we definitely see the value of what they can be used for. So for that, the sheriff would like to present her with a commendation. If she would come forward, please.
Hey Linda, how are you today? It's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You know, when I talk about how the community makes the difference, once again, I am not surprised, but I am pleased with a member of our community which says, look, the sheriff's office can do better, and it can do better with my help. So I present this to you, Linda. Expanding the abilities of the Polk County Sheriff's Canine Unit has been our vision since early 2019. In the past, bloodhounds were utilized as a support function to traditional patrol canines and were mostly only available in an on-call capacity. Recognizing that seconds count when a child, a disabled or elderly individual goes missing, the decision was made to expand the availability of on-duty bloodhounds to reduce the time it takes to start a track for a missing and endangered person. With the addition of 5 bloodhounds, the agency would be able at least to have 1 bloodhound on each shift 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As the canine management team began researching how to acquire the 5 bloodhounds, obviously you came to mind. The canine management team contacted you at Find 'em Friends, and without hesitation, you offered to assist our agency with the project. We left out the part that we had to pass her background first, okay? You graciously met with the canine management team at your training facility, where they got to see firsthand your organization and training program, meet your partners who assist law enforcement. As our canine team would soon learn, this was not a business or a hobby for you, it was a passion in your life. You made it clear if you had any hesitations as to how the bloodhounds would be used or cared for, you would have not participated in our program. Once again, that shows us that we're partnering with the right person that says, look, if you're not going to do this the right way, then let's don't do it at all. After the initial meeting, both sides agreed, we had a mutual respect for one another, and you donated your canines, and then Hardy County Sheriff's Office also assisted. We've already talked about the savings to the taxpayer, which always warms my heart. But as you know, the most important thing in the world is when we need to find a person that's endangered. We don't need to find them later, we need to find them now. For those of you who are not familiar with canines and our canine bloodhounds, I have seen the most miraculous work. And I've said this often, and I'll say this again, Linda. I arrived one day, back in the day, I was a colonel or a major, and Deputy Burcham had got his canine partner out, his bloodhound, to a senior citizen lady that had been missing. They couldn't find her, and she had driven off in her car. And Burcham started from the driveway following where the car went. And I go, what is he doing? They said, well, he's tracking. I said, how does a canine, a bloodhound, track a car? He tracks his vehicle out, and about 2 miles down the road at a shopping center, the bloodhound tracks to the car. When it arrives at the car, then it turns and it follows, and it goes into the store, up and down the aisles, till it arrives at our missing and endangered person. And I go, okay, Burcham, what's the magic here? He says, well, the magic is that the air conditioner expels air from inside of the vehicle. And that's how good the dog is. Well, it's not just the bloodhound, it's the handler. It's the heart and soul. Are you following that person as if it's your mom that's lost or your son that's lost? We'll be able to do that because of you. I want you to know there will be people that don't die. There will be lives that we save, and it's a direct reflection upon you. And that's why we give you this commendation today. Okay?
Thank you so
And
much.
stand right there and we'll take. Okay. Why don't you come up here and speak a minute?
Oh my goodness, I can't tell you how proud Find a Friends is to be able to put these 4 hounds into this office. I've followed you for a long time, and it just warms my heart that that goodness gracious that we can do this, and I know that these officers or deputies are going to do a fantastic job, not only finding those missing that are in need, that they have dementia or a child that's missing, but cuffing crooks. You know, we're going to get them, and it's again, I'm so proud to be able to do this for Polk County. I think that's it.
Thank you. Before you step down, of course, this is yours.
Thank you.
But we have from the sheriff, we have a challenge coin, if you're familiar with the history behind those,
Yes,
in
sir.
reference to your commendation. And then we also have one from our particular unit that we'd like to present to you. Without you, this wouldn't have been possible. So this is from all the canine handlers in the unit, and it's our canine unit challenge coin.
Awesome. Thank you.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you.
Can we ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
While you're off? You had mentioned that or I think I had heard that you might have had a personal situation that maybe a bloodhound helped with or could have helped with.
Well, I run a hound for Citrus County as a volunteer, and my Winnie is Winchester has found multiple people, whether we have had closure for a family, or to find that a 3-year-old, bring them back to reunite them with mom and dad. So yes, she's had multiple finds.
Okay. You want to introduce the canines?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it.
Bring them in front of the podium.
Yes, we'll bring them right here. And the moment we've all been waiting for is we will now graduate the canines. Before we bring them in, I'd like to tell you what we're actually graduating. In addition to the 40 hours that Ms. Bowles put the canines through, we brought them back and we put them through an additional training course for a total of 200 hours of additional tracking and trailing training. This is very important, so whenever they're ready to hit the streets, they're ready to go. The first one we'll be bringing in is Deputy Sheriff Amber Ludlow and Canine Trace. Now, Deputy Ludlow has been with the agency since 2013. She's been in a canine unit since 2016, working with a additional canine, patrol canine, Bones. He's a dual-purpose patrol narcotics detection dog. Trace and Ludlow have already had a successful track while in training, resulting in the arrest of 3 robbery suspects who fled the scene of a robbery within 30 minutes of crime occurring, and also was able to locate a suicidal subject on another case. Okay. Our next canine team will be Deputy Sheriff Scott Weaver and Canine Preston. Okay. Canine Preston is teamed with Deputy Sheriff Scott Weaver. He's been with the agency since 2010. He's been in a canine unit since December of 2016, with Canine Blitz, who's also a patrol and explosives detection canine. All right. Figure the certificate's a little too much for one hand, right?
We'll get pictures of me holding it up next to it.
Okay. All right. The next canine team will be Deputy Sheriff David Craner, or DJ as he's known, and Canine Cindy Lou. Deputy Sheriff Craner's been with the agency since 2008. He's also has a canine partner, Deputy Sheriff Rogue, who's a dual-purpose patrol and explosives detection canine. Okay. Our next canine team is Deputy Sheriff Dave Butler and Canine Blake. Now, Blake came to us from Hardy County Sheriff's Office. He's a little more seasoned than the other ones, but as you can see. Dave also has another patrol dog that he's working with. That dog is currently in training, but we look forward to putting them out on the streets, but Blake will be hitting the roads as of today. And last, but certainly not least, is Deputy Sheriff Terry Roberts and Canine Cat. A little irony there. Master Deputy Sheriff Terry Roberts has been with the Sheriff's Office since 2001. He's been in the canine unit since November 2009. Now, he has worked Canine Paunch, which was a former bloodhound, Canine Chase, also a former bloodhound, and currently has he worked also Canine Matrix and his current partner, Canine Gunner, who is a patrol and dual-purpose explosives canine. And I would just like to throw a little bit out there for Deputy Roberts. This gentleman here, not only is he taking on the responsibility of working a new bloodhound, but he's also my lead bloodhound trainer. He took on the responsibility when this project hit the road and said, "Boss, give me a chance and we'll make it work," and he's really impressed me. I really appreciate it, Terry. You've done an outstanding job with these dogs, and you know the success is all on you, so you did a great job with them. Thank you. And our senior canine, okay? You'll come on out. This is Deputy Sheriff Matt Phillips, okay? And Canine Chase. Now, they have been basically holding down the fort. While everybody else has been in school, they have been holding down the fort for the county. They have been running all the bloodhound calls and going back and forth, so I'm sure the biggest reprieve is going to be for Deputy Sheriff Phillips because he finally gets to come off call for a little bit. All right. All right, Amber. Oh, sorry.
Give it to you and you can get it.
Sure.
Get on the other side over here, and then we'll hold the certificate and get pictures. Hey, Robin, get this picture so we can go. Got it? Okay. All right, take care.
Okay.
We'll do our best to get a good picture of you and the dog. Congratulations. We're proud of you.
Again, on behalf of the sheriff and the sheriff's office, I'd like to thank everybody for coming up. If you'd like to take additional photos or B-roll, we will have the dogs outside for any of that. Anybody have any questions?
Can you say and spell your first and last name?
Sure. First name is Greg. Last name is Gorek, G-O-R-E-C-K. I am a captain.
And it's Greg with one G?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure we can.